One of the most interesting things I've found in Path into the Abyss isn't the creatures. It isn't the black stones. And it isn't the massive shapes walking through the fog in the distance. It's the fact that nobody seems to agree on what any of this actually is. One survivor believes something divine fell from the sky, another believes the entire catastrophe was nothing more than a cosmic mistake. And the deeper I dug into the game, the harder it became to tell which one was closer to the truth. And the further I went into the game's lore, its environmental storytelling, and some of the religious imagery scattered throughout the world, the more I started to realize Path into the Abyss might be doing something really interesting. Because unlike most survival horror games, it doesn't seem interested in giving you an answer. Instead, it presents you with a mystery, then fills the world with people trying to explain it. The strange thing isn't that these people's ideas exist, it's that they all exist at the same time, alongside with religious symbolism, rosaries, prayer cards, black stones, mutated creatures. Everyone seems to be looking at the same world and coming away with a completely different explanation for it. The strange thing about Path into the Abyss isn't that nobody knows what's happening, it's that everyone seems convinced they do. The deeper you look into this world, the more explanations you find. Divine punishment, cosmic accident, alien intelligence, something alive beneath the earth, an infection, a machine, a weapon, a god. Nobody agrees, and that's what makes the Abyss feel different. Most games eventually tell you what happened, and perhaps this game will too once it's in early access. But typically, they leave clues, scatter documents, hide audio logs. Piece by piece, the mystery gets smaller, until eventually the unknown becomes known. Path into the Abyss does something much stranger. The more information you uncover, the less certain anything becomes. One of the first things I started noticing were the shrines. Not hidden away in churches, not tucked inside of buildings, just sitting out in the wilderness. At these shrines, oftentimes you'll find candles, food, alcohol, prayer offerings. Rosaries appear in containers, religious imagery appears throughout the world, and some shrines even allow the player to stop and pray. At first, I had assumed that this was just environmental storytelling, a detail added to make the world feel more authentic. But the more I listened to the survivors, the more it started feeling like something else. Everyone says it was aliens. Lights in the sky, black stones, weird DNA, all that news bullshit. They just don't want to see the truth. I know how it started. Saw it in a dream, or maybe on the radio. I don't remember. They weren't aliens, they were gods. The old ones. The real ones. We lived in Eden. Yeah, here. But we forgot to be grateful, thought it belonged to us. One day the gods came down, not with clouds or trumpets. Nah. They fell like stones, black, alive, like claws from the sky stabbing the earth. The abyss didn't open, it was opened. And since then, the land remembers. It's hungry, it has memory. Some say the creatures are genetic mutations, spliced DNA, sci-fi crap. Lies. They're fallen angels. Or new saints, or souls eaten by the stones. There's no hell anymore, it's all here now. And if one day you see a tall, massive figure walking through the ruins, don't run. Kneel. Listening to Pepe Torres, you'd think the catastrophe wasn't an accident. That whatever happened here happened for a reason. Not a scientific event, not a natural disaster, but something deliberate, something almost divine. And he's not the only one searching for answers. Across the abyss, survivors leave behind traces of belief, small rituals, acts of faith. Attempts to find meaning in a world that no longer makes sense. Whether these beliefs are true is almost beside the point. What matters is that people still cling to them, because when faced with something they can't explain, belief becomes its own form of survival. But not everybody sees the abyss this way, and that's where things start to get interesting. Gods? Angels? Judgment Day? Come on, don't make me laugh. There's no plan, no punishment, no message. What fell from the sky didn't come to tell us anything. It fell by accident, like a loose tile dropping from a 6th floor. We're not special, this isn't Eden or hell, or some divine test. This is a cosmic f***up, a punch with no target. And the one saying, "The abyss speaks to you, the stones are alive, the silence is sacred," they are as broken as the world. You want to know what the abyss is? It's a machine that breaks things. That's it. Nothing more. It doesn't think, it doesn't feel, it just swallows. And if everything ends tomorrow, not a single star will even notice. So stop looking for meaning. Eat when you can, sleep with one eye open, and if you hear a voice calling you, shoot first and ask questions later. That's the only thing I've learned here. What's fascinating isn't that one of these men is right. It's that both of them are trying to answer the same question. What happened here? And more importantly, why? Pepe sees judgment, Ignacio sees chaos. But neither explanation actually solves the mystery, because the deeper you dig into the abyss, the less certain anything becomes. And this is where things begin to get difficult, because once you strip away the theories, you strip away the religion, the fear, there really isn't much that we know for certain. After listening to people like Pepe and Ignacio, I kept coming back to the same question. What do we actually know? Not what people believe happened, not what they think happened. What can we actually prove? And honestly, not much. We know something happened in the woods. We know the abyss exists. We know the black stones appeared afterward. And we know people started disappearing. We also know that whatever happened was bad enough to completely reshape the lives of everyone still living here. Beyond this, things start getting fuzzy. The deeper I dig into the abyss, the more I notice a pattern. Almost every explanation eventually turns into speculation. Rumors, stories, beliefs, people trying to fill in gaps that nobody seems capable of explaining. And strangely enough, even when the game finally lets us get closer to the abyss itself, it still doesn't give us a real answer. Instead, it gives us something much more personal. We learn our character's name, Juaco. We see flashes of life before everything changed, his family, his home, his father. And for a brief moment, the catastrophe stops feeling like some distant mystery. It becomes something human. Because whatever happened here didn't just create monsters, it destroyed families. It left people behind. And in Juaco's case, it took his father, a man who left home to help investigate what happened near Ground Zero, and never came back. But even here, the game refuses to give us a clear answer, because the dream doesn't explain what the abyss is, it doesn't explain why it appeared, and it doesn't bother explaining what caused the catastrophe. If anything, it only raises more questions. Why is the abyss showing us these memories? How does it know them? Is it trying to communicate? Manipulate us? Or are we simply seeing fragments of something we were never meant to understand? And that's where things started getting difficult for me, because the deeper that you dig into the abyss, the less certain everything becomes. The survivors don't understand it, the military doesn't understand it, even the cultists don't fully understand it. And after nearly 20 hours, I'm not convinced we as players understand it either. So if nobody understands the abyss, then what exactly are we looking at?